Hello, 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 guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be reading chapter 6 in How to Use the Power of Prayer by Joseph Murphy. And in this chapter, I'm really excited to read it because we're going to be talking about how to pray with a deck of cards. If you didn't see my last video, at the end, I did talk about this next chapter that we were going to read and how I had read somewhere that a long time ago in ancient times, the enlightened ones wanted somewhere to hide their teachings so that they were still accessible and still could be found in the midst of warfare. And what they finally decided on was making pictures on various walls with symbolism and with different characters, and this tells a specific spiritual story that is still around today in your stack of 52 playing cards. So the symbols can be found there, and we're going to talk about what each symbol means and where this kind of comes from. So let's go ahead and get started, okay? No one actually knows the real origin of the mysterious and fascinating modern playing cards. There is an old legend about the origin of cards which relates that many thousands of years ago, the Chinese sages gathered together under the leadership of a great sage to discuss the fact that vast legions of brutal invaders were pillaging and plundering the land. The question to be resolved was, how shall we preserve ancient wisdom from the destruction of the invaders? There were many suggestions. Some thought that the ancient scrolls and symbols should be buried in the Himalayan mountains. Others suggested that the wisdom be deposited in monasteries in Tibet. Still others pointed out that the sacred temples of India were the ideal places for the preservation of the wisdom of their god. The chief sage was silent during the entire discussion. In fact, he went to sleep in the midst of their talk and snored loudly, much to their dismay. He awakened a little while later and said, Tao, or God, gave me the answer, and it is this. We will order the great pictorial artists of China, men gifted with divine imagination, which is the workshop of God, and tell them what we wish to accomplish. We will initiate them into the mysteries of truth. They will portray or depict in picture form the great truths which shall be preserved for all time and for countless generations yet unborn. When they are finished with the dramatization of the great truths, powers, qualities, and attributes of God through a series of picture cards, we will tell the world about a new game that has been originated. Men throughout the world of all time will use them as a game of chance, not knowing that through this simple device they are preserving the sacred teachings for all generations. This was the origin of our own deck of cards. Many research scholars are of the opinion that cards originated in Egypt, from which the name gypsies is derived, a nomadic tribe who travel all over the face of the earth telling fortunes and divining cards, etc. Whether they originated in China, India, or Egypt really does not matter. The point is that they represent deep and profound psychological and spiritual truths. It is generally agreed that our cards, a composite design, are derived from the ancient tarot cards, believed to be devised by Hebrew mystics to portray symbolically how the laws of God work in the cosmos and in man. They consist of wands, cups, swords, and pentacles, and 22 of the 78 tarot cards are called trump cards. There is a Hebrew letter or word attached to each card, which letter has a definite, specific meaning. You can understand the inner meaning of the Bible by a knowledge of the Hebrew alphabet and the science of symbolism. The ancients said that if all the Bibles of the world were destroyed, the external verities and the law of life could be resurrected through the pictorial imagery and symbolism of the tarot cards, from which our own cards are derived. So the tarot cards, and then from there derived the traditional 52 deck of cards. The cards have been misused down through the ages for purposes of divination, but undoubtedly the original purpose of the cards was to convey deep and profound mystical truths to man. Divination by various means has gone on through the ages. Moses expelled haruspices, purification augurs, and those who put faith in sounds and voices. When we give heed and attention to the prophecies of evil, we are actually rejecting the first cause, God, the spirit within. We must give supreme authority and recognition to the God presence within and become the true prophet, i.e., prophecy only the good. Our mood, our inner feeling, and conviction of God's presence and his external goodness will be made manifest in our world. Our moods and beliefs are our prophets. What we feel on the inside is true, we experience on the outside. If we start with God and realize that he rules supreme in our minds, there can only be one result: good. For God and good are synonymous. The beginning and the end are always the same. Begin with God as supreme power and boundless love, and you will always be certain of the future. The future is always the present grown up. It is your thought made visible. You can be absolutely certain of your future if you will now, today, plant whatsoever things are true, lovely, noble, and God-like in the garden of God, your own mind. You mold, fashion, shape, and direct your own destiny. The future is already in your mind and may be changed by prayer, meditation, and mystic visioning. You can be brainwashed and hypnotized by others into believing their dire predictions of misfortune and loss. But you must remember you abdicated your authority and permitted your thoughts to move negatively, creating the thing you feared. What I feared most has come upon me. Job. The minute you set up a rival to God in your mind, you are looking for trouble. Your faith in God and his love is your good fortune, and from now on, you believe and live in the constant expectancy of the best. What is true of God is true of you. It is wonderful. So here is a description of the contemporary deck of cards. There are 52 playing cards and 2 extra cards called jokers, and they are enclosed in a cover and sealed, so the cards are in a box with a seal. It is necessary to break the seal to use the cards. This is symbolic of man, for every man is a book which is sealed. Man houses God. He is the tabernacle of the living God, for God's tabernacle is with man. Within man is the God presence. All the intelligence, wisdom, and power of the Infinite One are located in the depths of man, waiting to be resurrected. Man must break the seal and learn of the imprisoned splendor within. When man learns of the powers of his conscious and subconscious mind and the law of action and reaction, he has broken the seal and is beginning to realize that thoughts are things, that what he feels he attracts, and that what he believes he experiences. If you think in a certain way repeatedly, you form an impression or a concept in the subconscious area of your mind, which becomes a subconscious force governing your own actions. All right. Man unveiled is spirit, mind. When you think of yourself apart from your body, your name, your nationality, home, and environment, what are you? Divest yourself now of your body and you will say, I am spirit, I am mind. You are mentally disrobing yourself or breaking the seal, and you find the kingdom of God is within. The Joker is the odd card and is usually rejected, but of course is given greater value when used in playing a game. The Joker is God, and he is usually rejected by man because the average man has a God outside himself, a sort of anthropomorphic being living in the skies, a punishing, avenging deity. Or he has a vague, confused concept of God, which is based on ignorance, fear, and superstition. The average man rejects the Joker or the indwelling God. He refutes the fact that his own consciousness is God to his world, and that he creates and fashions his own future by his thoughts and feelings. When you use the Joker or hidden power within, it magnifies everything in your life. Begin to use the divine power within you and magnify your health, peace, happiness, and joy. This is the meaning of the Joker. We can't afford to neglect the spiritual power within. If we do not pray, meditate, commune with God, and imbibe his truths, We get immersed in the negative atmosphere of the world, such as fear, war, rumors of war, man's inhumanity to man, business problems, newspaper headlines, etc. If we continue to feed mentally on all sorts of troubles, sicknesses, calamities, all these thoughts reach a point of fulfillment within us, resulting in the precipitation of sickness, disease, and all sorts of disorder in our lives. It does not pay to reject the stone of truth. The stone which the builders rejected is made head of the corner. Put God back on the throne of your mind. Claim his guidance and direction and become replenished from the standpoint of truth and beauty. There are 52 cards which, when added together from the numeral 7, there are 52 weeks in the year, which represent the end of a solar cycle. The cycle also takes place in your own mind. When you entertain an idea, nourish it mentally, and become absorbed in the reality of it, the idea passes from your conscious mind to your subconscious, and the cycle is completed, because you have impressed your subconscious with your concept, idea, plan, or purpose. Whatever is impressed in the subconscious will be expressed, and your cycle is completed. When impregnation of the subconscious mind takes place, it is called the 6th day. That is, your mental and emotional act is completed. This is followed by a rest called the 7th day of rest in God. There is always an interval of time between impregnation of the subconscious and the external manifestation of your prayer. This period of time is referred to as the Sabbath or inner certitude, which follows the joy of the answered prayer. The Sabbath day is more fully explained in my book called Peace Within Yourself. I don't know about you, but I love Joseph Murphy's books. They're very easy to understand and they reach everybody at some level. The pack of cards consists of 4 suits: clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds, symbolizing the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical nature of man. The 4 suits represent also the 4 letters in the name Jehovah, which are Yod, He, Vah, He. Yod means I am, or God, the spirit within. He is your desire or mental picture. Va means nail or feeling, and the final He is the external manifestation of what you saw and felt within as true in your own mind. In simple everyday language, all it means is that whatever the idea, concept, or mental image you entertain in your mind, if you feel it and acknowledge it, you shall experience the result, whether it be negative or positive. The 4 suits of cards are telling you how to pray, for that is the way to bring all experiences, conditions, and events into your life. It is the way all things are made manifest in your world, and there is nothing experienced by you that is not made that way. Each suit, or the 13 cards. 3 of each suit are picture cards, namely the king, the queen, jack, and the 10 are spots from ace, or 1 to 10 inclusive. The king, queen, and jack refer to the Trinity, the Father, Mother, and Child, which is represented symbolically in all the great religions of the world. In simple everyday language, the idea or thought you have is the Father, feeling is the Mother, and the union of the two brings forth issue or a mental or child, which could be a healing of the mind, body, money, or business problems. The simple answer, as well as the simple prayer, is always best. Another explanation of the king card is that you were born to be a king over your own mind, body, and circumstances. The illumined conscious mind is king, for it orders, directs, and issues instructions to the queen, the subconscious or subjective feeling nature. The jack represents your purified desire, idea, or plan not yet made manifest. Therefore, there must be a synchronous union of the conscious and subconscious mind with your desire. And if both are in agreement, it shall come to pass, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. There are 10 spot cards. I shall explain the numeral 10 briefly. 1 represents the male and 0 represents the female. The union of the two results in the creative act, mentally and spiritually speaking, as well as physically. The 10 spot cards represent the harmonious interaction of your conscious and subconscious mind along all 4 phases of your life: spiritual, mental, I was going to put mental and emotional together. Spiritual, mental, emotional, and material. The virtues of 10 are infinite in number. The number 10 means God in infinite differentiation because you can add countless zeros to the numeral 1. The picture cards. These cards are double, indicating our dual nature. We are living in a mental and spiritual world and also an objective or 3-dimensional world. When the outside world displeases us, we can go to the realm of mind, pray, and identify with our ideal by nourishing it. And through frequent occupancy of the mind, we will bring it to pass. Then the outside and the inside become one, and we are at peace. We change the outside by changing the inside. The outer is always a reflection of the inner. As within, so without. There are 2 ends to the stick. There is an inside and an outside to everything. Life is a oneness functioning as duality. There is night and day, ebb and flow, male and female, hot and cold, peace and pain, health and sickness, objective and subjective, invisible and visible, positive and negative, matter and spirit, good and evil. The opposites are dual expressions of the same eternal principle, which is forever whole and perfect in itself. The headdress. I wish I had a deck of cards here. The kings wear beards, which symbolize wisdom and the power of God. The crowns portray authority and the regency of spirit ruling in the mind of man. The King of Diamonds with hand uplifted indicates his allegiance to God, the one power, and behind him is an axe, suggesting that the law of the subconscious is always exact, mathematical, and just. As we sow, so also shall we reap. The axe is also indicative of the negative reaction of the law if we violate the law of harmony or divine order in our life. Think evil, evil follows. Think good, good follows. That is the law. The King of Hearts with the sword in his hand indicates the sword of truth. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I come not to send peace, but a sword. Matthew 10:34. Truth comes into your mind to divide it and separate the debris from the truth of God. Truth separates you from the old false beliefs of race, provoking an inner quarrel, thereby resolving all differences and enthroning peace in the heart. The King of Hearts pierced his heart or subconscious mind with the eternal truths. The 3 swords held respectively by the King of Clubs, King of Spades, and King of Hearts possess sheaths, which allude to holding the torch of truth aloft in all phases of our life, mental, emotional, and physical. Clubs represent your thoughts and ideas. Hearts, your feeling or emotional nature. Spades, your deep conviction where you dig or implant ideas in your subconscious. And diamonds, the world, the external objectification of your internal thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. In other words, you have the story of prayer given to you in many ways in a deck of cards. When you look at the 4 queens in your cards, you will notice they hold a flower, the symbol of purity, love, beauty, order, symmetry, and proportion. The heart is the chalice of God's love and beauty, which is to remind us that we should fill our hearts with God's love. And the flowers of beauty, peace, joy, and happiness will appear on the earth in our world. The Queen of Spades. Here's our next one. The dominant feeling in your subconscious, this is also the Queen of Spades, holds a torch in her hand. This is the light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. It is to remind you that the infinite intelligence of God is within your subconscious depths. And by that, that by that light, you can walk through darkness. When your sense evidence tells you something is impossible, you see by inner light. Your eyes are on the solution, which the God wisdom will bring to you as you hold your faith in God aloft. Let this torch be a candle which forever shines upon your head. The Jack of Spades holds an hourglass, indicating that we are moving through time and space on this three-dimensional plane, and that whatever idea you have conveyed to the subconscious will bring forth in its own time, because its ways are past finding out. The ways of the subconscious are not your ways, and you do not know the hour or the day. That is the secret of your subconscious self. The feather held by the Jack of Hearts and the axe behind his head tell you symbolically of the law and the word. The feather is your concept or idea, and the law executes it. Make sure your plan conforms to the good of all and that it hurts no one. When in trouble, think of God and his answer. He alone knows the answer. This is the feather's weight that saves you. The robes and vestments worn by the figures are beautiful, elegant, and colorful. They indicate the 7 colors of the solar spectrum. White is the purity, wholeness, and perfection of God. White is called the mother of all colors. The colors on the cards tell us of the immaculate and unblemished presence within us. Red indicates purified desire and divinity. Scarlet stands for enthusiasm and God intoxication. Purple indicates royalty, or God's wisdom, reigning supreme in our mind. Green stands for God's abundance and fruitful ideas and thoughts. Blue indicates the subconscious area of your mind, or the law of God. Yellow indicates the power, strength, and glory of the Infinite One. So the number of cards in each suit. There are 13 cards in each suit to remind us of our 12 powers or 12 faculties. You and your 12 powers are symbolized by the number 13. It would behoove you and all of us to develop and discipline these powers so that a godlike man appears on the earth who will unstop the ears of the deaf, open the eyes of the blind, and do all the things a son of God should do. You have 40 spot cards. Noah was 40 days in the ark. Jesus fasted for 40 days. All these stories are symbolical of the fast from the poisoned feast of race thoughts and false concepts, as well of our own mental absorption in the good we seek to bring to pass. The length of time it takes you to detach yourself from your problem and reach a conviction in your mind is called 40 days, or the completion of a cycle of consciousness. Fast from poverty thoughts and feast on God's abundance. Reject the appearance of things, the verdict or opinion of others, and give all your attention to the idea of God's opulence. Gradually, you qualify your consciousness, whether it takes an hour, a week, or a month. Sooner or later, you will succeed in impregnating your subconscious with the idea of wealth. You have fasted for 40 days and you will experience God's wealth in your mind. So by fasting, he means getting rid of the collective's negative thoughts by your negative thoughts and stories, caring about what other people think about your thoughts and the way that you may live your life, getting rid of all of those things. I don't think he literally means fasting for 40 days, just to clarify that. The rods held by the Jack of Clubs and the Jack of Diamonds indicate a measuring rod, or the cubit. Man means mind or measurer. You are to measure and appropriate in your mind the infinite goodness and love of God, for your concept of God is your concept of yourself. The idea I have is one that I must cube, and cube is mother in Hebrew. Mother your idea, love it, and make it alive. Then you have a spiritual standard to measure all things by. I wish to touch on the hanging leaf on the Jack of Clubs. Clubs refer to the ideas, plans, and purposes in your mind. The scheme, diagram, or blueprint of it. You will notice on the Jack of Clubs how he bows over. This humility, giving all honor and glory to God. Our attitude should be, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always. John 11:14. It is generally agreed that the number, value, mathematical quantities, colors, and symbolism of the playing cards have a very close connection with the Great Pyramid. The ancient mystics who devised playing cards thousands of years ago knew all about the rotation of the earth on its axis and were able to measure the heavens and the earth, all of which is portrayed in the cards and the Great Pyramid. Men like Job intuitively perceived the laws written in our hearts and inscribed in our inward parts. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measure thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? Job 38, verses 4 through 6. I guess I was kind of hoping to figure out if there was a way. Obviously, there is a way to use cards and for divination, even though what he's saying in the book is that that's misusing them. I guess I was looking for a little more of a way that he would explain how to use the cards in prayer, but explaining what each one means and how it connects to the ancient teachings and spiritual teachings is pretty neat, and also a good way to incorporate it if that is something that you do. If you do play cards, I'm very interested to take a look and see, but nevertheless, it's always a good message, always something to learn in every chapter, and that was quite enlightening to see what all of those things made and how creative a person's mind can be if that in fact is how they came about. It's pretty amazing. So thank you again so much for joining me. I really, really love reading these to you guys. And our next chapter that we're going to read, let's take a quick look. Chapter 7, Write a New Name in the Book of Life. So I believe there's only 8 chapters in this book, so we are almost finished. Let's take a look. Yeah, chapter 7 is kind of long. Yeah, so there are 2 chapters left in this book, so I think I can manage to read 1 chapter a video, so that way we're not making too many out of a short book here. So until next time, please take care of yourself, please take care of those around you, and I will see you very soon for our next chapter. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.